What is the issue with being woke?
Oh, Bill Burr just did a funny thing on this.
Um, Inherently, there isn't one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the idea of being woke is being sensitive, right? It's the idea of looking out for others from someone else's perspective, right? The ideas of being woke, the principle is in the right place, the heart is in the right place, the ideas are in the right place. However, where it goes wrong is when it's insanely forced and it gets into crazy town land.
Do you think so? Would you agree that there's a possibility that people can be over woke?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's the same with anything,
Mhm.
right? Like you can radicalize anything.
People tend to call those people liberals. You know,
Yeah.
Over woke.
I mean, extreme liberal, not just regular liberals.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like being woke isn't like being generically woke isn't
Like
bad.
the president had a cheeseburger. Like
Right.
that's too much.
Like in certain circumstances, I consider myself woke about certain things,
Mhm.
sure. But you can drink too much of your own Kool-Aid, right? You
And
can
get diabetes.
exactly.
Diabetes.
You can try and change
that
the world
commercial.
for good so hard, you end up making it worse. And I think that's where a lot of the woke ideology tends to go. It's just, but those are just very few and far between, and those crazy people have the loudest voice because that's what gets attention on social media.
Local minority, yes.
Polarizing things.
And that works both ways. Like you could, I don't know what the term is for woke on the far right.
Liberal.
Nationalist. Nationalist.
Nationalist.
We'll go with nationalist.
Fascist.
Right?
I guess that's good. That's good.
Right, let's go with nationalist, right?
Yeah.
You can love your. There's nothing wrong with loving your country. I think nationalism is a good thing, just like I think being woke is a good thing.
Mhm.
But you can go too far to the point is you're changing history.
See, but
History's
So it-
already
but-
changed.
but
in and of
saying-
itself.
but
with
saying
woke,
like-
you
saying
can
for
go
the
too
far right-
and change history.
for the far right, for it to be nationalist or fascist, like I get what you're saying, but that's the opposite of sensitivity. That's the opposite of
Yeah. I see what you
inclusion.
mean.
So I don't know if that would be the opposite because being woke is being sensitive to everybody.
I was taking the idea of something that gets taken too far, but is inherently a good thing.
Mhm.
Right? It's like what nationalist isn't the exact opposite of woke. That's I would say the Klan is the opposite of woke.
Yes.
Right?
They are.
Or like genuine Nazis, right? That's the opposite of woke.
Mhm.
That's a
Oh, you're
difference.
saying opposite, not
Yeah.
synonymous.
But woke is a circle, right? You can go too far and end up right back where you started. No, you can go so far woke to the point where you're no longer tolerant. You're very intolerant.
Wouldn't
Like,
that
because
just be
because
overload?
you're criticizing every single possible thing.
No, it's just like we only accept you if you believe what I believe. And what you believe is woke and for the sake of the betterment. Like that can go too far.
Yeah.
See, here's
yeah.
the thing. I don't think woke is actually a belief. When you look at woke, what does woke mean? I mean, woke also comes from African American vernacular English. Some people call it slang.
That is true. I learned that recently. I was shocked.
What that
I sh-
African American vernacular English is slang? Is that when I use it on the
No,
podcast?
You didn't
That-
know
no.
that. You didn't know that woke came from black people.
I didn't know that woke came from black culture. I thought that was like a.
Yeah,
I thought
Bill,
that was like a
Bill
white
Bird
mom
does a
thing
whole
made up.
stand up about it. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, and so being woke is, and you would probably know, Christian, not because you're black, but also because you're black. But
Ah.
but in African American vernacular English and slang, we're very literal about our stuff. We're like, if you're paying attention to how we speak, you'll understand us. If you really pay attention, being woke just means being awake, being aware.
Being aware.
Being aware
having your eyes open,
having
to
your
what's-
eyes open. Hence, I'm woke. I am awake. Would
Right.
you rather be woke, or would you rather be sleeping? I would probably choose
It's like
to be aware.
It's like what would not be woke would be people that say racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So when you encounter someone, it's like, no, racism does exist, and like let's say they're from a background that isn't traditionally oppressed, and they're like, yeah, racism exists. I'll give you a couple examples, or they'll be like, white privilege is real, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that's an example of like, okay, that's
Yeah.
woke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's woke. It just means being aware, and I think
Understanding.
I think people try to take something so simple as a
Mm.
concept as woke, or as simple as a concept of Black Lives Matter, for instance. Like, take something so simple and try to make it this complex thing when it's not really supposed to be that complex.
Yeah.
It means stay woke, stay aware.
Yeah.
Like Will, I could probably tell you, like, if you were walking, through Jersey City at night, I'd be like, Will, stay woke. That could also just mean stay aware and be fucking safe.
Yeah, be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah.
Right.
that's
different contexts.
Different context, but yeah, it's
but still a similar,
yeah.
Similar
Just
meaning.
All right.
Stay aware.
So I'll say there's nothing wrong with being aware, right? Period.
Yeah.
As I said, in the general principle, what that is correct. There's nothing wrong with being woke. How you respond to that awareness and how you act on that awareness is where problems arise. Or solution, and it's also where solutions.
And also
arise.
where solutions happen too.
Yeah, and it's just like we as individuals, we as Americans, we as a society need to figure out where those middle grounds are and where those ideas can meet in the middle and push forward. And you don't get that through censoring and silencing, which a lot of people consider themselves woke, which is, again, mislabeled by your definition, one I agree with, are wrong. And so, yeah, they definitely are. It's definitely a word that lost its meaning.
I see what you're saying when you say people go. It opens the door to going to extremes.
It opens the door to what happens
because you have an understanding. If you have a certain, let's say, popular understanding, when you get to criticizing people who don't have that same understanding, then that's when it's probably going too far. Because it's like, what understanding?
Yeah, we have a lot of
what does awake being what does awake mean?
Being aware, yeah.
What aware of what? You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh well, your awareness is different from my awareness,
and that's not always a bad thing.
Or my perception
yeah.
of what's going on. And I'm saying that isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say that's why I disagree with cancel culture, because it doesn't let people be woke. It shuts out other perspectives, no matter what the perspective is.
I would say that's very not woke.
It's very not woke. People. It's literally the definition of not being woke.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, I wouldn't group those people as woke at all.
No,
people that are canceling.
But the thing is, they call themselves woke, which is crazy.
It happens.
It happens. Yeah,
everybody wants to hop on the bandwagon.
It's a case by case. It's a case by case example.
It is a case by case example, and I think
it's 1,000% a case by case.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it,
especially with like Twitter.
Yeah. Although I love the cesspool that is Twitter. I don't care. I love the calamity that goes on there.
Dude, I've been loving our TikTok comments. So here's what I do with TikTok comments. I like all of them, whether it's good or bad. I like every single comment because it helps with the algorithm. That's really why.
Yeah.
And if you engage with my account, whether it's a like, follow, comments, whatever, I don't care what you said, what you did, or what you didn't do. I'm following you, and that's you're private and you deny me, which happens all the time.
Sure.
But I engage because if you support this channel, I'm gonna follow you in hopes you follow back in hopes for the algorithm, right? My follow feed is literally just I go through. I just swipe and I like. I swipe and I like. On one sitting, I don't do 2 accounts because that looks spammy, right? Mm. But it's like I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care what the account is. I just want the engagement and hoping you engage with me back to grow the channel.
Well, that's what social media is.
Yeah, it's not real. So it's like I engage by not engaging.
I mean, they say that's one of the best strategies is just engage with people.
Yeah.
In your network,
or
like something, comment on something.
That's how you grow.
Try to make it genuine. Don't be like a spam bot where you're like, nice shirt, and it's like a picture of like a guitar.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I create a dummy account which is just for commenting. It doesn't follow anybody other than APS. It's a picture of me with my name, and I use it only for commenting because I don't want APS to be commenting on anything that's controversial or could be deemed as controversial.
Sure.
So I speak as myself. So which is why I would comment on your post, Ricky, comments under me and not APS.
Yeah, it's one of those things where things get misinterpreted, but I think it speaks, especially cancel culture, speaks to a grander issue that I see a lot in psychology and mental health as well. And it's an issue for a lot of people just from a social perspective, whether it's on social media or in real life. A lot of people listen. A lot of people listen, but they're not hearing what's being said. And a lot of people are listening to react instead of listening to understand. And more people listen to understand, we'd be in a lot better place in a lot of different situations.
I think cancel culture is, like you said, it also extends to real life.
Yeah.
There's just, you could be, never speak to people ever, again.
Well,
and maybe not for like the most legitimate reason, but people cut people off. I call it virtually killing people.
Yeah.
When you go on social media and you block somebody, I call that
defriend them.
Defriend them.
Yeah.
Maybe all platforms. I call that virtually killing someone.
Well,
Sometimes
Ricky,
it works.
Ricky, I have a side question for you, actually.
Sure.
So, what I'm seeing in social media and in relation to real life or any form of internet, it's that, like you used to say, oh, you would never say that to me in real life. Like you read a comment and go, oh, they would never say it.
Oh yeah, internet soldiers. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what?
Social media warriors.
I feel like we're getting to the place where no, they're gonna start saying it in real life.
It's already happened.
It's already happening.
Yeah.
So from a psych perspective, how is the psychology of how people react on the internet bleeding into and meshing in how people interact in real life?
Well, when people are reacting on the internet, and getting really ballsy on the internet, it's because you can be anybody you want on the internet. You don't have to be that real person.
Correct.
You can be whoever you want. You can be this character. Like I could be Rickie Rozay on the internet. I'm not. Like what you hear from me is going to be me. Regardless, it's probably going to be how I feel. A good thing, a lot of my social media is just about jokes and being stupid most of the time.
Same.
Unless I'm in my feelings about something, I need something to be said. I'll say that verbatim. But I think it got to a point, where a lot of things happened where there was a big movement of you should be the same person you are in real life as you are on social media. There was a little bit of that movement going on. And for a lot of times, especially with the people who start becoming really outlandish, there is a motivation from somebody that they admire, from somebody in an understood authority figure that says, no, you could be able to say what you want or do whatever the hell you want. Who's going to stop you? It's a free country. Right. As for example, when Trump got into power as president, there appeared to be a giant influx of people essentially, quote unquote, coming out of the woodwork and saying all this wild shit that you'd never heard before. You're like, Grandma, what?
Yeah, the assholes had a figure.
Yeah,
they felt safe. They felt safe to come out.
They felt safe. They felt protected. Yeah. They said the man in charge told us we can say all these things and it'll be okay. So it's gonna be okay. So a lot of the time when people start coming out of the woodwork, it's because some sort of perceived authority figure or someone that they have given power to, to influence them. Gives them that kind of transient power to do it because so and so did it, so I can do it as well.
Right, and let me pause you right there.
Yeah.
I would much rather those people be exposed in the light than hide and not know about them in the dark.
Yes, what comes to dark will always come to light at some point.
Yes, like it's more important that they are.
We need to know who they are.
You need to know who they are, and you need to know what they're saying, and you need to know how to combat their bullshit.
Correct.
And you can't do that by keeping them in the dark and pushing them underground.
I agree.
And that just causes more problems. And you're like, oh, wait, January 6th happened? How'd this happen? Well, you would have seen it coming if you didn't push them underground. Or if you were the FBI.
Sometimes they are deliberately underground.
Yes.
And they are deliberately, hiding things and planning things, which was part of a January 16th. But some of them,
like the FBI.
Yeah, and some of them were blatantly obvious about it, and we just ignored it.
Like the FBI.
You crazy person.
He said like the FBI.
Like the FBI. The FBI knew about 9/11. So did CIA. All right, they fucking knew about it.
CIA knows about a lot of stuff.
I think it was an intelligence blunder.
Well, they didn't communicate with each other. That's
right. The right hand was not talking to the left hand.
Well, the right hand doesn't talk to the left ever. That's the big problem.
And I also think
that's a whole other conversation, a whole other podcast.
Yeah, it's a whole other. It's deeper than just them not talking to each other. I think there was a lot more involved in it.
But yeah, like I am generally concerned about the craziness of social media. It is slowly and now more quickly bleeding into real life, and people need to remember that. Listen, social media isn't real. It's not real. How I present myself on TikTok may or may not be how I am in real life. It depends on the circumstance.
Yeah.
Right? But when I'm behind this microphone, I am at a heightened state. My senses are already at 11, so it comes out at me at 11. Right? And how I talk on here is different than how I'll talk in private, because in private, I'm more relaxed. I'm more calm. It's more sociable.
So he's not always screaming, guys.
No, he's not. It's contrary to popular belief.
Well, I mean, but like, even so, like, people who the craziest people, the algorithms also push the crazy because people like to see crazy. Like
if you start
no
liking
one cares about the normal middle.
If you start liking crazy
especially on YouTube,
Yep.
you could like look up a conspiracy theory and
next thing you'll get
and
is
just
all-
let autoplay go.
Oh, it's awesome.
And before you know
It's
it,
awesome.
Before you know it, your JFK's alive. The moon landing wasn't real.
Lizard people are
The moon's
everywhere.
flat.
You know,
The moon is flat.
The world's flat.
No. The moon's not flat. The Earth's not flat. That's the moon that's flat.
No, people. There is a whole group of people that
flat
think the
earther?
Earth is flat.
No,
Yeah,
dude,
Kyrie Irving.
the Earth's
Kyrie
actually
Irving thinks the Earth is flat.
the
Yeah,
Earth's
yeah,
actually
he
a
does.
trapezoid and made of a giant boombox.
I do follow a
That's what
TikTok called
earthquakes are.
I do follow like a factual scientific TikTok called Interstellar News, and it has some wild
Yeah, dude, it's pretty cool.
revelations about the galaxy, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Jesus, this is crazy. For instance, like if you look at an actual picture of the galaxy, all the galaxies are connected in a way that it looks like a brain. It looks like neurons in a brain.
Oh my god, don't be telling me that.
Oh man.
So like I watched that, I was go, wait a minute, and I got a high idea, but I don't smoke, but I was like, what if we're just a piece of a higher being's brain, and that's all the universe
there's
is.
entire theories that saying that we're in a holographic universe.
Also as well, there's also
like backed up by renowned physicists.
Yeah.
Like that also believe like Nobel Prize winning physicists that think that
and multiversal theory is also
exactly. So
something contested.
and they
as
said
well.
that the equation for the cosmos is actually similar. It's the same
Oh,
equation.
it's 20. It's 22, I believe.
They say it's this.
If you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
It's the same equation for the equation for the cosmos is the same as internet search engines.
that's a good.
And they're like, yeah, we might just be in like a computer, like simulation, holographic thing from a higher dimension.
Listen, Men in Black tried to
crazy
tell us
stuff.
at the end of all of their movies that we were just a small little piece of the world. Like we should have paid attention.
Yep.
But the rabbit hole goes deep. If you let that autoplay go, you'll start believing.
The thing that keeps me up at night is that if the Earth is exploded tomorrow, everything that ever happened never happened.
That's a good one. I have another one that'll keep you up for a while.
Is that like if the tree falls and you didn't
no,
hear it?
no,
Like,
because
that's philosophical.
There's no recorded history of it. It's gone. There's no one left to
There's no
find
recorded
it.
history of anything.
as far as we know, if there were aliens that visited, then there might be something.
Unless we've been observed already, which it's totally possible.
That's what I'm saying.
But as far as we know, if the Earth exploded tomorrow, anything that ever happened never happens.
You want to have another one that will keep you up at night for a while?
Please, I'll be on the toilet.
It's really simple. The brain named itself.
I hate you.
Oh,
you son of a
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, you're gonna go for a loop. You're gonna be in a loop for a long time.
The brain.
Man, somebody put me on some stuff, man. I got some wild things floating around in my head too.
The brain named itself.